Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Valeria and this is the Off-Road Range. I continue the topic of communication between people. And today I would like to talk about how like-minded people should communicate with each other. Firstly, it is quite difficult to find the necessary terminology so that it reflects the meaning. And I will be grateful if you write in the comment this word after you understand what kind of communication I'm talking about. And secondly, the question arises why like-minded people owe each other something. Because I'm talking not only about communication based on interests to share the event of the day. I will explore deeper the topic that some people have some common views on life, face the same problems, have similar values, principles, and morals. Such people can interact with each other in order to achieve certain goals that will improve their lives and change the world around them for the better. People who do something to achieve common goals are, in my understanding, like-minded people. Their joint activities have a synergistic effect. But to get it, these people must communicate according to certain rules. Let's look at each aspect. What is mind and thinking? How does it manifest itself? Who are like-minded people in general? Why do we need like-minded people? What is a synergistic effect? How should we communicate with like-minded people and why? Where to find like-minded people? There are several words in the English language that represent people who support each other, have common values, principles, and morals, see common problems of different scales, set goals that may overlap with each other, have a similar approach to life, work, relationships, who work and invest to achieve their goals. These are words such as a like-minded person, an adherent, an ally, an associate, a companion, a partner. I will use the word like-minded people in this video. Perhaps it will take on a slightly different meaning than is customary. If you know a more appropriate term, please write in the comments. I also want to clarify that I am not considering a romantic partnership, since romantic relationships belong to a different level of communication. These are, as a rule, different goals and objectives, different values, psychology, emotions, and feelings. At the same time, it is unknown what is more difficult, love or friendship. What does mind, thinking mean? Thinking has several meanings. The first is the process of brain activity and a person's conscious mental work on himself. Simply having some thoughts, repeating the same action. Simply having some thoughts, having internal dialogue, repeating the same actions, making the same decisions, communicating with people in the same way, is not thinking yet. This is simply replaying existing thoughts in the head. This is repeating what we already know. This is entertaining ourselves with internal dialogues. These are attempts to experience emotions, and so on. Thinking is a very complex process of emergence of new thoughts. Most often, thinking occurs while solving a problem. This could be training, where understanding rather than repetition is important. This could be a search for a solution to a problem. This could be calculations of how to achieve a goal or complete a job, and so on. Of course, thinking doesn't occur when you are on social networks, mindlessly watching TV series and films, mindlessly listening to music and humming songs, or reading superficial literature. However, professional activity in these areas, of course, has other goals. Regardless of whether it is real thinking or just repetition of thoughts, brain consumes energy and resources. In both cases, the brain needs oxygen and requires energy. It is busy with information. Whether it is information processing and analysis or just a bunch of thoughts and thought stir, the resources spent and the person gets tired. But in the one case, the person and the brain are tired and fixated on what is inside the head, and in the second case, the person develops, improves his mental and physical skills, and strives for something new. In one case, a person is in reality. He is aware of what is happening and acts based on the situation. And in the second, a person is in prostration. He does things automatically. He doesn't feel either the situation around him or his body. Both are stable habits located deep in the subconscious. Observe yourself. This is difficult to change, but it is possible with constant effort. This is one of the reasons why social networks, advertising, empty communication, empty entertainment lead to degradation. The brain doesn't develop. It simply receives a stream of the same type of low-level information, and it degrades. I have several videos on these topics. However, there is the second meaning of what thinking is. This is the result of brain activity. That is, thinking is the result of the perception of information, the result of the analysis of acquired knowledge and experience. It is a result of processing information and drawing conclusions. In other words, thinking is formed views, values, priorities, behavior, outlook, filters, and actions. Thinking affects a person's life. Based on thinking, life paths are chosen and life decisions are made. Based on thinking, a person selectively perceives information in a certain way. He either assimilates information or consciously self-blocks information during perception. Based on thinking, a person takes actions and receives results and consequences. Thinking reflects a person's philosophy, his picture of the world, a holistic vision, and perception of the world. This is an assessment and reaction to certain situations in different areas of life. And in general, this is perception and work on various areas of life. Thinking is reflected in all areas of person's life and their quality. Thinking as intermediate results of brain activity over a long period of time are those things that we are not always aware of and that we cannot always influence. These are upbringing, behavior, communication, dreams, goals, intentions. These are views on what is bad and what is good, what actions and events are normal. But in my opinion, the most important things that reflect thinking is actions and results. Moreover, the results do not always indicate the equivalent actions taken to obtain these results. And the developed algorithm of strategic actions will not always lead to the desired results due to a huge number of controllable factors and a terribly unstable and dangerous situation in the world. In addition, in our times, due to the substitution of concepts, due to the availability of dishonest life and actions, it is impossible to determine by any results or actions what kind of person is in front of you. Nowadays, the actions and results of a person do not speak about the quality of that person, about his humanity, values, and motives. Therefore, it is so important to learn to understand and feel people, to understand your own motives, and not to deceive yourself, to listen to your intuition. Therefore, it is advisable to understand immediately and impartially what kind of person in front of you. Also, one of the points of view that I adhere to is that the quality of a person will most clearly be shown by his actions over the longest period of time in diverse areas in various stressful situations. But very often, we do not have the opportunity and resource to analyze a person unbiasedly and for a long time. Therefore, the best thing is to go with him on a difficult long hike. And in a non-standard, new, stressful environment, the person will take off all his masks and show his true face. However, be careful. So, who are like-minded people, or adherents, allies, associates, companions, partners? These are people who, to some extent, at some points, have the same thinking with some other people. This means that the picture of the world, philosophy, and the perception of certain things by different people converge and intersect in different areas to different degrees. And from this, it follows that the intentions of these people, their visions, their thoughts regarding how we see the correct course of things are similar. From the smallest routine events to international events covering the whole world. From the substitution of values, where money, appearance, and prestige are important, to the significant and important things, where real problems, principles, and values are manifested. Of course, like-minded people are often recognized not by their thoughts, but by their actions, since the actions of like-minded people can also be similar to achieve similar goals. However, people can go towards the same goals in different ways, and the same actions do not always reveal the true motives of behavior. Yes, this is difficult to analyze. And why do we even need like-minded people? To be friends, to understand and feel that we are not alone, to have the opportunity to discuss life, to decide to do something together and to do it, to make each other stronger, to get a synergy effect. To be like-minded means to be friends whose friendship is not based on superficial things, but on common views and attitudes, on a common vision and philosophy. These are people in whose presence you can be yourself, you can relax, unwind, and share important things. This is a friendship worth cherishing and strengthening. Here I consider the evolutionary necessity of socialization. Socialization is necessary for a human to survive and procreate, to build a social structure to strengthen his position in the animal world. Therefore, the need for society is hardwired into our brain. Our well-being, mental health, and self-realization depend on the presence of people who understand and support us. Discussion of life is too general and incomprehensive words. What I mean is that we can debate, find common grounds, understand alternative points of views, discuss events and their interconnections, learn, look for the solutions of problems, and generally broaden our horizons. In my opinion, this is generally one of the main tasks. Yes, I believe that one of the means of a person is actions with certain goals. Our entire existence in the world is actions, and the absence of actions is also actions. In any case, we are constantly doing something in this world, and in the process of action, we cannot help but interact with society. Everything that exists around us was created by someone, and everything that happens is a consequence of people's actions. By the way, this is why you shouldn't underestimate your capabilities and think that you cannot achieve something. Almost all actions, directly or indirectly, we perform together with someone. But either we have a choice about who these people are next to us, or this is communication with random people, and it has unknown consequences. Like-minded people are needed in order to trust those who are next to you and have reliability in achieving goals. Like-minded people are needed in order to take actions and achieve goals alongside people who are close to you. A synergistic effect is a phenomenon when the combined action of several elements leads to a result that significantly exceeds the sum of the effects that can be achieved by each element separately. The word synergy comes from the Greek synergos, which means to work together. The synergistic effect is widely used in various fields, including business, science, sports, technology, and so on. Why does it appear, and what does it have to do with the activities of like-minded people? This effect is based on a number of principles: interaction, complementarity, interdependence, joint reinforcement. Synergy arises through the interaction of components that complement and enhance each other's actions. This could be collaboration, combining resources, combining processes, reducing costs, and so on. Complementary components or factors are mutually beneficial and complement each other. It may be the combination of different skills, knowledge, or experiences to achieve a common goal. The interdependence of components means that changing one of them will change the other. This allows for consistency of action and mutual influence. However, this doesn't mean that each element or member of the team loses its independence. The components acting together enhance and increase their effectiveness. They may occur through concerted or coordinated actions, synchronicity of processes, or interaction. This makes it clear why teamwork and the distribution of roles and responsibilities are so important. Every member contributes and uses their own unique skills and ideas. Combining knowledge and experience leads to new ideas, effective problem solving, and risk reduction. As I already said, the communication with like-minded people can carry many meanings. This may be the meaning of friendship as just passing time. This can be the meaning of family as a choice to be close to each other. This can be the meaning of having common ground, a common vision of certain things, and the intention to get it. It is also a common activity. Therefore, communication with like-minded people becomes teamwork to achieve jointly defined goals. It becomes part inspirational game, part Hunger Games. You have to give your all to the end in. Like-minded people see the world in a certain way and set common goals for implementation. These people can be from different fields, do completely different things, and do not even necessarily communicate with each other. They may have different skills and tasks and not have any control from above, but in the end, they must come to a joint result. To implement this activity, many components must be taken into account. In other words, a strategy is needed. These are general goals, assigned tasks, distribution of tasks, resources necessary to complete tasks, time required for implementation, required level of competence, level of difficulty in achieving goals, existing and possible obstacles, percentage of possibility of implementation, possible consequences. How like-minded people should communicate with each other. Everyone should know his role, his tasks, his scope of activity and responsibility. Everyone must work efficiently, that is, show actions and results in the required time, as I said above. Everyone must understand how they can let others down and how much, and do not let them down. Everyone must be honest and, first of all, to themselves. You should know your motives, your dreams and goals. You shouldn't do something for the sake of someone, making yourself a victim. Hypocrisy is presenting yourself as another person, a person with values and interests that are not yours, in order to interact with another person or to achieve your goals. It is revealed very quickly, and you will only lose what you have. Therefore, you need honesty first of all. Everyone must devote themselves to the process so much as to understand what consequences they can expect as a result of their actions. And this is not pressure or religious fanaticism, but self-awareness, responsibility, reliability of you as a person and personality, and the level of trust in you and your words. Accordingly, it is necessary to be selfless, at least because you personally need it. In order to get something, you first need to give something. Often, you have to give a lot. In addition, there is a common goal where everyone will benefit, and with the right work structure, it will be impossible to organize unfair work, sabotage, lies, or falsification of performance results. You must be prepared for the consequences. If you do not do the job right, they will even more so. And even if you are not ready for them, very often it will be necessary to put a common goal above your weaknesses. To do this, it is advisable to know your weaknesses and work to lessen them. Ideally, it is necessary for each member to be conscious not only regarding the implementation of certain tasks, but in life in general. This doesn't mean that these people will be the same in everything. On the contrary, most likely you will all be very different people, and many goals may diverge or be concomitant. In order to have the courage and strength to act, you need to be a developed and versatile person who can apply himself in different areas, and definitely not a copy of another person. What is the difference between this type of work and regular work for an employer? After all, many points can be presented as a reminder for employees to brainwash them and convince in their indispensability and dedication. The difference is that like-minded people act consciously. Everyone has goals, not only financial, but most often, on the contrary, selfless and charitable. All people are independent, proactive, and thoughtful. No one hopes that they can skip the job and dump their work on someone else. No one expects that a colleague will cover them for a chocolate bar and a bright presentation will justify imitation of work. And here, even more so, the working day is definitely irregular. There are no guarantees, benefits, bonuses, or vacations. Everyone is interested in doing as much and as well as possible, since each person individually works for himself, for his own self-realization and happiness. And even if you don't have like-minded people, but what I'm talking about resonates with you, then it means that you can set goals for yourself and treat them and your life in general as a project with a strategy. And all these points will be true for you alone. And with a quality approach, like-minded people will appear. The main thing is to have your personal meaning in your goals. Otherwise, most likely, you will abandon them and indulge in laziness and despondency. This is the most difficult question for me, for proactive people, and in general, for many people who are looking for friends, for a romantic partner, for work with self-development, and so on. The task is complicated by the fact that the more serious a problem a person wants to solve, the more difficult it is for him to find someone he can trust. The more complex the task, the more complex the term trust is, since it involves understanding risks that, as a rule, do not exist in everyday life. And the more complex the task, the easier it is to find problems that arise from communicating with people. People flock like flies to honey because there is money and unusual things. Someone is curious, wanting to occupy themselves with something interesting, believing that another person's work is a circus for them. Some people look for flaws in order to criticize a person's activity. Doubting another person and looking for mistakes in someone else's work is much easier than doing something yourself, and besides, it increases importance in one's own eyes. And someone, like a sniffer dog, smells money, opportunities, and profit from the work of other people. And this attracts them to stick their nose deeper and stir everything up in order to make their own profit. These people do not think about what they are doing, and even if they have moral and principles in their own understanding, they do not have enough intelligence to realize that, in fact, they are guided only by their own interests and do not care about life and work of another person. If they do not have morality in the universal understanding of mankind, then it calls them all the more nothing to do everything that is permissible to them if they get benefit and will not be punished. In fact, the world is much more cruel, insidious, merciless, and deceitful than many people perceive. And people just don't want to believe in it and accept it when there is a frivolous other side to life. This is partly why people are not self-actualized. They cannot accept that animals are often better than people and prefer not to face their own suffering. Therefore, finding like-minded people, those you can trust, is very difficult. However, it is worth remembering that these people exist, but we do not know them. They can be anywhere in the world, and the internet is what should unite people and not show us pictures of naked cats. I will repeat once again about the need to use the internet as a tool for self-realization in various fields. But do not think that this will give you instant and high-quality results. You often have more options online than you do in the real world. Often, but not always. In addition, on the internet, there is more temptation to degrade and waste your time. So the important questions are: what is your task and what do you want? Use various forums, social networks, and groups where people consult and solve problems. Figure out what kind of person you are and what kind of people you want to be around. Consider your communication and manners. Relate your activities to whether you will meet people of interest to you. Analyze the likelihood of finding such people where you are. Think about what you can do to start a conversation with someone. Be sincere and look for a real relationship. At the same time, remember that appearance, actions, and especially social status do not always indicate who is who. Be careful and think about what you say and how you spend your time. If the basis of your communication and friendship is a common vision and actions to achieve it, then most likely, without these two components, there may be no friendship and no communication either. There are also many other factors that play different roles in determining how close you will be. This is communication, an attitude towards some things, and it depends on you how much you will open up yourself and how much you will open up another person. I also already said about quality work on yourself, which means that you will even unconsciously strive to communicate with people with a similar approach. And also understand that occupation, gender, age, nationality are not an indicator of a person's quality. His attitude towards work and towards animals is rather yes. I also have a question of finding like-minded people, since many people who are seriously working on something do not have time for distractions, communication for the sake of communication, and even more so, for watching videos on social platforms, especially since now they are full of slack. And my competence, time, and level of socialization currently do not allow me to make new friends. Therefore, I do not have an answer to the question how to find like-minded people. Other than that, I cannot decide for you and tell you what to do. I still have a lot to learn before I begin to understand people myself. I am sure you too. However, I can 100% say that if you don't have involvement in anything, if you don't have meaning for you personally in your life, your goals, your actions, then your best like-minded friend will become your laziness. And even if a person does something, for example, develop himself in some directions, in some spheres, it doesn't mean that he will be able to realize himself. I would love to see your ideas and solutions in the comments. It was Valeria, the Off-Road Ranch. Wish you all the best and see you soon.